Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming. And I think by Krishna's grace, we've been consistently having now for last few weeks.
And we'll have it.
We'll have it. That's good. So we are. So we have completed, I think, 22 sessions or something on first canto. Today's 23rd session. So we have completed first 3 chapters of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we will start with the 4th chapter. So this is now going to be a very interesting section. I'm going to give a brief idea about where we are right now. So what happens, ideally the Bhagavatam class is over now. Like the 6 questions are asked by the sages at Naimisharanya. And Rupa Goswami answered those 6 questions. The last question was answered in the last class. Where 6th question was, where did religion go after Krishna left this world? But that was also answered. So now all questions are answered. All 6 questions are asked, 6 questions are answered. So ideally the class is over now. Bhagavatam class is over. First 3 chapters, the whole Bhagavatam is over, and now it is time for Mahaprasade Govinde, and that should be the whole idea. But interestingly, what you're going to see now, starting from the first this chapter, first verse onwards, Shaunaka Rishi, he is a leader of the assembly of devotees, and he's going to ask questions on behalf of the devotees. And there are 60,000 devotees who have assembled there. And Rupa Goswami is speaking. So in a cricket stadium, how many people come? What, 40, 50,000? So you can imagine like Wankhede Stadium. Packed. And Rupa Goswami is speaking. And they heard the 6 questions, 6 answers. Everything is over. But Shaunaka Rishi, on behalf of all the sages, is super excited. He's super excited. And he feels that there is some disturbance. Hare Krishna. We'll have to mute. Hare Krishna, I don't know. Okay, so we'll continue. So Shaunaka Rishi is super excited. He feels that, Hare, class ho gaya. What has happened so far was only a starter. The main meal is remaining now. Like if you go for a big fancy, big fat wedding, as they say, and then only starters are served, some spring roll and some paneer tikka, and then you're waiting for the meal and says, ho gaya abhi, jao. You say, Arey, ye kya ho gaya? So they're so excited to hear more. So now, the first 13 verses of this chapter, the 4th chapter, is Shaunaka Rishi is going to ask questions to Rupa Goswami. He's going to first thank him, he's going to congratulate him, and then he's going to ask some more questions. Essentially, he's going to ask 3 types of questions, 3 questions more. First, he asked how many questions? 6. All were answered. Now he's going to ask 3 types of questions or 3 questions. And the rest of the first canto, the entire first canto will be answers to these 3 questions. So the first 6 questions were answered in how many chapters? 3 chapters. Starting from 4th chapter, the 3 questions will be answered till the end of 19th chapter. So many chapters will cover essentially details of these 3 questions. So basically, these the 13 verses that we are going to discuss now, today and next class, which are the questions. This is kind of an introduction to the remaining first canto. The first canto, which has 19 chapters, they have discussed 3 chapters. And the entire 19 chapters introduction will be in these 13 verses. And after these questions are asked and the answers will begin, then Narada Muni's appearance will start, which is what this chapter is called, appearance of Sri Narada Muni, right? So now we'll start with the first verse. The first and the second verse. Second verse we may take today or next class, but first verse is very important. Here the sage, Shaunaka Rishi, is going to, he glorifies Rupa Goswami because he asked a question, he got all the answers, now he's grateful. So he's going to ask questions. Before that, Vyasadeva says something very interesting. Now, there are 60,000 sages, but who is asking questions on their behalf? Shaunaka Rishi. Why he is asking questions and why he is congratulating the speaker, that is going to be revealed now in this first verse of the 4th chapter of the first canto. So if you have access to the Bhagavatam, you can please respond with me. And after I read the verse, who will read the translation today? One of you will have to read the translation loud. You will read Mataji. Okay, start. So first verse of the fourth chapter. Please repeat after me. Everybody has access to the shloka? Okay. Vyasa uvacha iti bruvanam samstuya muninam dirgha satrinam vriddha kulapati sutam pavricha shaunako bhravi.
On hearing Suta Goswami speak thus, Shaunaka Muni, who was the elderly learned leader of all the rishis, engaged in that prolonged sacrificial ceremony, congratulated Suta Goswami by addressing him as follows.
So now in this verse, Vyasadeva is saying that Suta Goswami has spoken so far, and Shaunaka Rishi, who is he? Is the elderly. He is called as Vriddha in this shloka. Vriddha means elderly. And he is also called as Kulapati. Kulapati means he is the leader of the Vaishnavas. And Bhavricha means he is learned. He understands what is going on. So he is going to congratulate the speaker of the Bhagavatam. So speaker of the Bhagavatam is Suta Goswami. He is qualified, we know. That is why he is answering. And 60,000 people are attentively hearing. So he has to be qualified. So that is why he is speaking, because he is qualified. But the one who is the master of ceremonies, one who is asking questions, one who is glorifying the speaker, he also has to be qualified. And that is revealed in the first verse. And he has three qualifications. He is elderly, Vriddha, he is Kulapati, he is leader, and he is Bhavricha, he is learned also. So in a meeting of learned men, learned people, then the person who's congratulating the speaker, who's introducing the speaker, should also have these qualities. So this may appear to be apparently an ordinary, just a shloka like that, but it has such a deep meaning. And Srila Prabhupada has written one of the most powerful and amazing commentaries on this shloka, which we will examine slowly. But the point is, here the culture of Krishna consciousness is being mentioned. See, if you have come to ISKCON program, please know that you are not coming here simply to, our strength is not simply giving you some discussions on Gita and Bhagavad. Like if you go to any other organization, they may teach you Bhagavad-Gita, they may give some classes. In Krishna consciousness, we give a whole package, the culture. The culture means what? Culture means the whole lifestyle. And here, Krishna consciousness is not simply dry philosophy that you come, you make notes, you learn, and then you go home. And there is no difference to your life. No, here, there is a major impact in your personal life, your thinking, your lifestyle. Your language also changes. Like, before coming to ISKCON, I remember the first day, one devotee met me and he asked my name. I told my legal name, and legal name also happens to be Krishna's name. So he heard my name and he said, Hari Bol. So I remember getting shocked, because outside you don't see anybody saying Hari Bol. So when he said that, I was like, excuse me, I thought something happened wrong, Some words here you see in ISKCON, like we use the word for money, we use the word Lakshmi. Somebody asked me, do you have Lakshmi? So I remembered my cousin's sister, so her name is Lakshmi. I said, what is he asking? Do you have Lakshmi? It took me some time to understand that he means, do you have money? And Maha means Prasad, Maha Prasad. And so all those kind of things, you see the whole lingo, the culture. In Krishna consciousness, everything changes. We start putting tilak, devotees start wearing devotee attire. We don't even know how, because Bhagavatam, we are not simply attending classes. We are hearing these things where the qualifications of the speaker, the hearer, the one who's asking questions, basically the etiquette is being given to us. It's a culture. It's not simply dry academic learning. You can go to a school or a college and learn Bhagavatam and do PhD. Here we are helping devotees understand how to love Krishna. And to love Krishna is not simply by knowing shlokas or by knowing the philosophy. Along with the philosophy, we also inculcate lifestyle. And therefore, it is being revealed to us here that in an assembly of learned people and devotees, even the person who is comparing master of ceremonies, he should also be senior, learned, and he should he should be a leader. This is these are very refined cultural aspects. Like if you see in ISKCON, that culture of a Vedic society where seniors are respected. Basically, in this verse speaks about the culture of respect, which is central to a devotee community. Especially those who are elderly, those who are seniors and learned, they should be respected. If you see in Indian families also, Vedic culture also, when children grow up, I've seen even modern millennials, they touch the feet of the elders. This culture is very, very intrinsic to India. In Western countries, you don't see that. When Brahmananda and Gargamuni, Bruce and Greg, they were young boys coming to Srila Prabhupada's classes in New York. And they were typical American boys. So they got serious, Bruce and Greg, Bruce Schrapp and Greg Schrapp. They were brothers. And they got Diksha, initiation ceremony. They became devotees. And when they were going home, Srila Prabhupada told them that you go home and you greet your parents by offering obeisances to them. So they were shocked because in America, you don't go and greet your parents by offering dandavat to them. So they did that. So they rang the bell. Mother opened the door and she said, there is nobody because both of them were on the ground offering full dandavat. So she was shocked. And then they said, our Guru Maharaj has taught this, to respect our parents like this. So if you see the culture, we're giving a whole culture. It is a whole package. And both of them, of course, like this, if you see in ISKCON, many devotees who come, they learn all these finer aspects of Krishna consciousness, which includes a culture of respect. And here, the speaker is qualifications, but even the hearers, how they should be qualified is being mentioned. And in ISKCON, especially, I understood how important it is to respect seniors. Like we call each other as Prabhu. Prabhu means master. It's a very honorable thing, We call ourselves as Das. So many times people come to temple looking for some devotee. And, the devotee had met them during book distribution and he would have told them that my name is, Krishna Das or whatever, Vraja Bihari Das. So they hear the word Das. So they think he's a Bengali guy. And they come to temple, they say, we want to meet Mr. Das. The security says, you have 100 Mr. Dases here. So those people are shocked, 100? Because we call ourselves as Das, means I'm a servant. And the other person is Prabhu, means master. So this is all part of culture. Respecting, we have these Vancha Kalpa prayers, which means when we greet another Vaishnava, we are supposed to say Vancha Kalpa Rupescha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. I'm your servant, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. But nowadays people are so living such a fast lifestyle, we don't have time for all this etiquette and culture. I've seen people say Vancha, they do like this. they want to just give shortcuts for everything. And even while writing emails, we write, dear so-and-so Prabhu, we write, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is a standard way of respecting the person. But people write PAMO, AGTSP. PAMO as a short form for please accept my humble obeisances. Even I am guilty of that. I'm trying to be not like that, but it happens sometimes. So, but we need to remember it is not a ritual. It is a matter of culture. Like if you see small things, like, when we take lamp after offering to the deities, when we come with the lamp, we are supposed to offer it to the senior-most person in the group. Or, in a typical ISKCON temple, after the kirtan, they chant Premadvani prayers, which is something like this. Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramhamsa Parivrajaka Stotra Shri Srimati's Divine Grace, Prabhupada Ki, and then everybody says Jai. So this chanting of the Premadvani prayers is also supposed to be done by the senior-most person. And everybody else will respond by saying Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Ramacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Jai, like that. So this is a culture. So after Kirtan, generally we look for the senior-most person. We say, please, you lead the Premadvani prayers. This is the Bhagavatam culture. What we are doing is not whimsical. It is not a cultist group. It is not a fanatic. Many times in America, people would accuse ISKCON of being a cult. No, we're not a cultist group. It is a culture. Aap senior most hai, aap lead kijiye. But modern life is like, we don't understand these finer nuances of bhakti culture. Like one boy, he comes to temple young boy, 18, 19-year-old, and he saw. And in our temple, the culture is, the seniors are also very humble. So when the singer sings, after singing, he looks for the seniors to say Premadhani prayers. The seniors say, no, you sang, you only lead the Premadhani prayers. So once one guest had come to our temple, one sannyasi, or not sannyasi, very senior leader, and he sang the Mangalarati. After the Mangalarati, everybody pays Dandavat. And they're waiting for the singer to now start. Jayom, Vishnupad, Paramams. And he didn't start because he was looking for the senior most person. Please chant. So that senior person said, no, aap hi boliye. And then he looked at another senior person. So in that time, few seconds passed. And we were all lying on the ground, Dandavat. And some of us started snoring, early morning, 5 o'clock, you're feeling sleepy. And Dandavat ke time अच्छा सो भी जाते थोड़ा 5-15-20 seconds जो भी है. And then why नहीं कोई बोल ही नहीं रहा है. And then one young boy who has been coming to the temple just few times, he started shouting, Jai Om Vishnu. And everybody, hey, what happened to him? And he chanted the whole Premadhani prayers and very confidently. And we were like, audacious. How can he do that? Doesn't he know the etiquette? He's just a young boy, just coming for a few months. But we didn't say anything because we know the culture and etiquette, but it was wrong. And he was fully confident. And Jai Prabhupada ki Jai, Hari Bol. And then he sat down. And then our temple president went to him and gently said, Prabhu, you should not chant like that. You should wait for the seniors to say. This is the etiquette here. So, oh, really? Okay, next time I'll be careful. I thought nobody was singing. And my nature is, when things are some work is stuck, I like to do that. I thought nobody is chanting, कुछ हो नहीं रहा है तो मेरे को कर रहा है. काम अटक गया, अटकना नहीं चाहिए काम ना प्रभु जी. तो मैं इसलिए गाया. So then Prabhuji said, you are enthusiastic. Is a personality, personality types. He is B, choleric. And today he is a very big leader in our temple. I will not tell about his details. But when he was a young person, this is how he was. So काम अटक गया तो करने का. Choleric. So that doesn't mean he's not respectful. Sometimes we see younger devotees behaving. We should not judge them as being audacious or not following the etiquette. It's just a personality. Some people are, they are sanguine. They are influencers. They like to sing. They like to show. They're extroverts. So they may sing, dance, perform. And we should not judge them as, they're not humble. No, that's their personality. So, but essentially the principle of respect has to be there in the heart. So like this, we need to, Krishna consciousness is not simply philosophy or entertainment. You're not coming here for an entertainment class. You're coming here, you are hearing Bhagavatam and you hear the example of Rupa Goswami being respected by Shaunaka Rishi. Somewhere you also learn that this is how we greet other devotees and we call them Prabhu and we honor them. This is how the culture slowly gets implanted into our system. And that's why sometimes even apparently ordinary verses where there is no pastime or prayer, it reveals to us the lifestyle of Krishna consciousness. And later on, you will see in the Bhagavatam more interesting dynamics of this respect. Sometimes you will see here 3 things are mentioned: elderly, learned, and leader. Sometimes a person may be not elderly, but he may be learned. Sometimes you may have a choice of, okay, he's an elderly person, but he doesn't have knowledge of scriptures. So to be the leader or to be the conqueror or to be the person performing the ceremony, he may not be qualified, but he's elder. That may be a younger devotee, but he's actually learned and he knows the scriptures well and he is qualified also and he can perform the ceremony properly. Then the scriptures, Bhagavatam tells us that the younger devotee, although he is not elderly, but because he's learned and he understands and he can do the seva properly, he should be given the chance. That is why we find in the 6th canto, Devtas asked Vishwarup to perform the yajna. They made him the chief priest. And chief priest means he was being put in a superior position. So Vishwarup immediately said, no, but all of you Devtas are senior to me. I can't do this. I'm very younger to you, all of you. So they said, no, but you are more qualified. You know all the procedures, you know all the mantras. So although we are older to you, you are more qualified than us. So very reluctantly, he accepted this position. Here, Sutta Goswami is both elderly and qualified, but sometimes it may happen that somebody may not be elderly, but he may be qualified, but we should know that he can be given the chance to speak or perform that ceremony. Like in the best example is the speaker of Bhagavatam, Shukdev Goswami. He was only 16 years old and he is giving class And that is his first Bhagavatam class. And in the audience, his spiritual master is there. All the great sages are there who are thousands of years old. They are sitting in his class quietly and listening to him. And his 16-year-old boy, first time he's giving Bhagavatam class, his guru is sitting, and his guru's guru is also sitting in the class quietly and hearing him for 7 days and 7 nights. That's why in our temple, even when young devotees give class, senior devotees also sit and listen. Like sometimes because of health reasons, we may not be in the temple hall, but in our rooms doing yoga, we hear the class. Radha Gopinath Prabhu is a temple president. Shamanand Prabhu is a temple president. They have been in the ashram temple for 33 years now. And there are some brahmacharis in our temple who are 26, 27 years old. They were not even born when they had already joined the temple. So these 26, 27-year-old young men who were born much after they joined, then they studied, they went to college, they became brahmacharis, whatever, and now they're giving Bhagavatam classes in temple. These senior devotees will listen to their classes. They will not think that, "Arey, mere ko suna raha hai." I know so much. No, you are sitting on that Vyasasana, you are representing, you have studied the scriptures, so it is a culture of etiquette, culture of respect. So like that, this culture is not so much there in the Western mindset, It's very inherently Vedic, this kind. So here, of course, West has its own advantages. Like, I've seen dignity of labor there, Everybody who works is honored, and see that there is a lot of advantages of Western culture also. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying this aspect of respecting and hearing from a person, transcendental knowledge, this is very inherently Vedic. So Sukadeva Goswami is one of the best examples of this, that even though he was young, he was invited to speak. And the most important aspect is in the purport. Mataji, if you have access to the purport, can you read the sentence starting with the word personal realization? Personal realization does not mean.
Personal realization does not mean that one should, out of vanity, attempt to show one's own learning by trying to surpass the previous acharya. He must have full confidence in the previous acharya, and at the same time, he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it. Yet, it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. This is called realization.
Yeah. So this is a very powerful paragraph, a powerful section where Prabhupada is saying that one should not try to show off. While studying Bhagavatam, we learn a little bit and then we want to tell the whole world what I know. The culture of Bhagavatam study is, because we are all trying to study Bhagavatam. So right in the outset, Prabhupada is revealing to us that the culture is, we respect the speaker, we respect the hearers also, the other hearers. And if we are studying Bhagavatam, the mood is we don't try to show off. But simultaneously, Srila Prabhupada is saying, we should be intelligent enough to present it in such a way that people can understand. Like, you should present the Bhagavatam in a way that common man can understand. But we should not get so carried away that, okay, I will give my own something, my own understanding of Bhagavatam. That means there has to be loyalty or fidelity to the parampara. There has to be loyalty to the tradition. And there should also be flexibility and sensitivity to the audience. Are you getting it? That means a Bhagavatam student has to be intelligent. He has to be smart. He can't be a fool. We are very loyal to the parampara. We'll uphold what Srila Prabhupada has given us and the tradition of the last 5,000 years. But a common man cannot understand. What is that? Somebody said, Chand sir fire hain khuda ki talash mein. Very few people are searching for God. Chand sir fire hain khuda ki talash mein, baki sab to dal roti ki jugaad mein. Most people are interested only in their day-to-day subsistence. So they cannot relate to Bhagavatam. So you are studying Bhagavatam, you are absorbed in Krishna, but you have to share it with others. Now you can't say that, okay, I'll give some interesting, unique something, my own realization. No, you have to be loyal to the parampara. At the same time, you have to make them understand. That is the beauty of devotees, how devotees have to be intelligent in studying Bhagavatam. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is saying, that there has to be a balance of loyalty and sensitivity and flexibility. So I can't think that I'll give something so special that nobody has ever given. No, I'm not trying to surpass. And how do we get this balance? This balance we get when we sincerely remember Krishna. Like we chant these prayers before the class. This is to invoke the blessings of the Lord. Lord, please, please empower me. Please give me the strength to share in a way that the people can understand. But then we pray to the Lord and then we connect with the audience and we tell them about Krishna consciousness. And in the Gita, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that one who sincerely practices bhakti, one who sincerely remembers him, what Krishna does? Tesham satadayuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. One who sincerely practices bhakti, I give them the intelligence by which they can come to. So Krishna will give us the intelligence, how to present in an interesting way which the audience can understand. So therefore, we have to depend on Krishna and then use our intelligence also. And this purport which we read today, trust me, this is one of the most important in Bhagavatam, because this is going to be the foundation as we study Bhagavatam deeply. Because we may get carried away sometimes, you may get some realization. You have to know that it has to be in alignment with what the Lord wants us to know. That's why this purport is very, very important. So many times what happens, we get attracted to a personality so much that we forget the teachings of the scriptures. This is the purport which warns against personality cult. This happens in many spiritual organizations, that the guru or the leader, he becomes so overarching importance he gets that the teachings which he represents gets overshadowed. So Vedic culture, we have to understand that we should not get attracted to a personality so much that we don't bother what he's saying. Sometimes people get, wow, we love him so much that we don't care whatever he says. Anything he says is Hari Bol, divine. There are a lot of pseudo in India. This also happens, blind following. So therefore, we have to be more attached to the truth than the person who's speaking it. That is very important. And see, many foolish people, especially it happens in India also, many foolish people, they get attached to the person. But sincere student of Bhagavatam, because they're all sincere students, they're coming on a Tuesday evening, on a weekday, from office, from your work. You could be going home, taking rest early, watching IPL match. But you are here, this means you should understand that Bhagavatam, according to this purport, you have to study the Bhagavatam, understand the teachings, and get absorbed in it. And this is very important. Otherwise, we'll also become like a personality cult. We get attracted to different speakers, different entertainers. So we have to basically, as a speaker of Bhagavatam, if I'm speaking Bhagavatam, I have to be loyal to the parampara. That will always be my test. Am I loyal? Did I represent the tradition properly? So my challenge is to be loyal to the parampara, right? And a student's challenge is he has to be attached to the absolute truth. He has to be attached to the truth and not get diverted by some obscure meaning. Like, sometimes I had this habit. Now I don't do it so much. Earlier in my classes, I used to speak a lot of shairis. I gave one Prerna lecture 1 month ago, I think 3 weeks back. And I spoke so many shairis. Idhar udhar ka jo yaad aaya, Pakistan, some Pakistani shairi I used to hear before when I was in college. Uska sab bola. So after the class, some people came and said, "Oh, wo shairi acha tha." No, wo wala acha tha. I said, sorry, yaar. I entertained them. I was supposed to, of course, that was needed, but that context it was needed. But as an audience, you have to come being interested to know the truth, not be attracted to some obscure meaning or some entertainment. Otherwise, you'll say, like I remember in one class, one devotee told me, one senior leader was speaking. He told me, hey, inka na class na, honestly bolu, boring lagta hai. I said, kyun? They're वही चीज बोलते रहते हैं, be humble and all that. सुना है बहुत बार. I said, what is your problem? You are coming for these classes for entertainment. You are not coming for purification. When you go to, see if you call somebody else, let's say you call MS Dhoni to speak. Okay, cricket players still have something to talk. If you call some actor, let's say Deepika Padukone comes or Alia Bhatt comes to give some talk. What they can speak? They may be beautiful, they may be attractive, but they can't speak for more than 5 minutes. They have no substance. They're not evolving spiritually. At least we don't know that, right? So they're entertainers. So I told him that you have come here for entertainment or you have come here for spiritual advancement. If you come for spiritual advancement, then you will not find any class boring. You will find every class having something new to learn. So as a student, our responsibility is to hear with an open mind and absorb. And as a speaker, the speaker's responsibility is to be loyal to the parampara. And of course, he also has to take the responsibility of making it interesting. But essentially, this is very, very important that we have to balance. See, as a speaker, we are trained, many speakers, I'll tell you this is a secret. Bhagavatam class, when we gave our preaching, many preachers are student conscious. Like, okay, the students, the participants are coming, what are their needs? What are they struggling with? Oh, they have this, daily struggles or their relationship issues. So then while speaking, somehow you try to make it relatable to them. Whatever they are, whatever the subject is, they focus on the student because they're student conscious. There are some speakers, they are not student conscious. They are subject conscious. See, I prepared, so much matter today. So I'm going to download all of it. I don't care if they understand, they don't understand, or if we have gone 1 hour overtime. Till I finish this, I will not stop the class. And the audience is thinking, when we will stop? But he's saying, and he's like, he is only subject conscious. And he's doing justice. He has prepared nicely, he's speaking, but the audience can't relate to it. And some speakers are very student conscious, some are subject conscious. And there are some, they are style conscious. Like they are thinking, okay, when should I say a joke? Okay, abhi ye joke mein punchline ke pehle I will make a pause. Exactly 4-second pause. And then I will give the punchline. And they are like into style, how to present it, how aspect. So some people are what, why, and how. Some people, the what is the subject, and why is the student. Unko kya chahiye? Why should I give this to them? And the third is the style kind. How? Ideally, all three should be there. All three combination should be there. But many times we get carried away. But whatever it is, we should know that we have to be loyal to the tradition of Bhagavatam. This is not, we have not called you for some motivational lifestyle, video that you can see videos on YouTube, 4 minutes. This is a Bhagavatam class which was spoken for 7 days and 7 nights without break. And we are giving 1 hour class. So it is a different genre altogether. So that is very, very important. Only then you will be able to relish over the next, whatever weeks we have these Bhagavatam classes. So having understood why this is a challenge, then just understand the psychology of Vedas. See, Vedas are divided into 4 categories. There are, books, all the Vedic literatures are divided as either Brahmanas, not the Brahman, Kshatriya, Shudra, Valane. Brahmanas are also literature. Some literatures are categorized and they're called as Brahmanas. Some literatures are called as Samhitas. Some are Aranyakas. And some are Upanishads. So this Brahmanas literature, they are studied by the brahmacharis, those who are leading a life in the ashram. They are supposed to study. And Grahasthas, they study scriptures which come in the category of Samhitas. And Vanaprasthas, those who have taken retired life, they study generally the Aranyakas. And now those who are renounced sannyasis, they study Upanishads. Because Upanishads have this spirit of detachment in them. And Bhagavad-Gita is spoken by Krishna to Arjuna, who was in the spirit of detachment. And Bhagavad-Gita, if you see, the whole text is in Upanishadic style. So Bhagavad-Gita Bhagavad-Gita is supposed to be studied by sannyasis because it can be understood only by those who have a spirit of detachment. But in 21st century, if you have a Bhagavad-Gita class, neither the speaker is having a detached spirit, nor the audience is having a detached spirit. So how they can understand? Are you getting this point? There is a mismatch. Because Bhagavad-Gita, by definition, is studied by those who have a natural spirit of detachment. But nowadays, the whole culture is enjoy. Somebody sent me a link, youpartywedrive.com. मतलब आप पार्टी में जाते हो, शराब पी के टाइट हो गया, and you don't know how you can't take your vehicle out. So you just go on to this app and just log in, youpartywedrive.com, and then they will come and they will drive your car and drop you home. You enjoy, basically. You enjoy. That is life. So the whole propaganda is enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. And Bhagavad Gita basic foundation is, if you want to understand Bhagavad Gita, you need to have spirit of detachment. And it is in the Upanishadic style. So the preliminary mood is not there. Right? So what do we do then? Should we not have Bhagavad Gita class? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has ordered us. Yara deka tara kaha Krishna Upadesh. Whoever you see, preach to them Krishna consciousness. So now what do we do? Mahaprabhu has ordered us to tell everybody about Bhagavad Gita, but audience is not interested. This is a paradox. That means we can't speak Bhagavad Gita in the Upanishadic language because the audience doesn't have the bandwidth. So now you make it interesting. Make it in such a way that they make a bridge in such a way that they come to you. Are you getting it? That's why many preachers, they present very interestingly. They present jokes, they present stories. But the idea is you come to Krishna. But they have to do all that because people are otherwise not interested. Many people, they hear spiritual talks, but after the talk, they hear spiritual talk so that they can enjoy better. Like people do yoga. Generally, yoga, Ramdev Baba, what yoga is teaching, the ideal yoga is a practice by which you become spiritual. But people want to do yoga so that they can enjoy better. प्रभु जी मोटिवेशनल स्पीच सुनना है आपसे. क्यों? क्या मेरे को बहुत स्ट्रेस हो रहा है, तो आई वांट टू फोकस ऑन माय वर्क. Why you want to work so hard? I want to earn money. And what I'll do with that money? I will enjoy. Ultimately, the stress management, everything is not for detachment. It's not for knowing God. So therefore, it's a challenge. Preaching and giving spiritual knowledge is a challenge. And you are coming for postgraduate study. Your Bhagavatam is above Bhagavad Gita also. Where Bhagavad Gita ends, Bhagavatam begins. So therefore, it is very important that you understand right in the beginning that, we have to have this idea that I'm coming here for purification. See, many people don't have realization and they don't care because they're in Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya Kosha means they're only thinking of pleasure. When I was new, I'm telling you honestly, I used to be very attracted to the prasadam only. Prasadam, I used to carry my dabba from college. I used to go for this program. And as soon as the prasadam was over, I would fill my dabba with khichdi and next 2 days I would eat that khichdi. It's called khichdi itna acha lagta. Because they are Annamaya Kosha, but eventually we have to understand that Bhagavatam is telling us to go deeper and understand the goal of life. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada says in this purport that don't make your own purports, make it interesting, but have faith and confidence in the parampara and don't let the original purpose be lost. Like, when you cook food, prasadam has to be healthy also and it has to be tasty also. You can't make it so tasty that you can't make it only maida, aloo and all that, and make it so tasty, chatpata, that it is not good for health. And sometimes some people go to extreme. They make it so healthy that there is no spice. In our temple, sometimes it happens. They make non-spicy, it is no taste. And spicy dal is so spicy that I can't eat. So what I do, I mix both. And I take like that. Because we need healthy also and we need palatable also. Similarly, Bhagavatam should be presented, Krishna consciousness presented, which is good for the soul. That means it has to be loyal to the parampara and at the same time it has to be interesting. Otherwise, we will not be accepted by the Lord. There's a very nice story in this regard. Vallabha Bhatt was one very close friend of Lord Chaitanya. And he was staying with him in Jagannath Puri. And his habit was he was trying to show off. Sometimes, I don't know if there are people who like to speak in an assembly because they want attention. They don't have a genuine question. They just want to grab attention of everyone. So he, in the audience, he told that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting and everybody was sitting. He said, I have written commentary. He said something very No, he said something very, it was like upstart. He said, I have written a commentary on Bhagavatam, which is very good. No, he said, why are we chanting Krishna's holy name? It's not correct. Suddenly people will be attracted. No, what is he saying? Because Krishna is our Lord. Krishna is our husband. He is our pati, and we are his energy. He is our master. So a servant will never take his master's name. A wife in the Vedic times would not take her husband's name. So Krishna is our husband, so we cannot take his name. So he said that to attract attention of everyone. It was a very, very wrong thing to say. In front of Lord Chaitanya, he was saying that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so expert. He said, more important than not taking the husband's name is to follow the order of the husband. So the husband is telling us to take his name, so we take his name. So then everybody laughed. And Vallabh Bhatt felt so embarrassed because he was doing that to show off. But then it fell flat on his face. So then he kept quiet. Then I thought, how do I show off now? How do I attract everybody's attention? So next day again, they are all sitting. He said, I have written a commentary on the holy names of Krishna. There are so many ways you can chant Krishna's name. Again, he wanted attention. Again, Mahaprabhu, everybody looked at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Shama Sundar Yashodanandan Yehi Matra Jani. I just know Sham Sundar and Yashodanandan. These two names are enough. And again, he felt he couldn't say anything more. Because the Lord is not, nobody was hearing him. Because the Lord is not hearing him. So to attract the Lord's attention, he was trying to show off. And third day, he lost it completely when in the front of all the audience, he said, oh, my Lord Chaitanya, I have written a commentary on Bhagavatam better than Sridhar Swami's commentary. That was the final straw that broke the camel's back, I have to say. That was very arrogant on his part, because he actually said that I have surpassed Sridhar Swami's commentary. Sridhar Swami, and he made a cardinal mistake. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looked at him. Now, in the Sanskrit, Swami also refers to a husband. And and we consider ourselves in the feminine gender, in the sense we are Prakriti, and the Lord is our master and Lord is our husband. So when Vallabh Bhatt said, I have written better than Sridhar Swami, Mahaprabhu looked at everyone and looked at him and said, one who rejects the Swami is a prostitute, indicating that if a wife leaves her husband, she's a prostitute. So that was like complete, it was like a slap. And everyone, and he felt so embarrassed and he couldn't show his face to anyone, but he was very humble. He understood, he went to me, understood his mistake. Then he came back, he fell at the Lord's feet, he begged forgiveness, and they became best of friends. Then they would take lunch together and they became very good friends. We should not judge Vallabh Bhatt as, arrogant. No, they are very good friends. Ek pastime hai, humko shiksha mila. But very important in this pastime that we learn how Lord doesn't approve showing off or trying to do something better than the previous acharyas. And in our parampara, there is a classic story, incident of Rupa Goswami, was one of the greatest scholars ever. We are followers of Rupa Goswami, so we are called as Rupanugas. And Rupa Goswami's nephew is Jiva Goswami. He is considered as the greatest Sanskrit scholar ever. He has written original 3 lakh verses in Sanskrit. Mahabharata has 1 lakh original verses. And there is an entire department in Banaras Hindu University named after Jiva Goswami. So Jiva Goswami is amazing, authentic, original composer of so many verses and so many bhakti literature they have written. And Jiva Goswami is a nephew of Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami. They are 3 brothers, Rupa, Sanatan and Anupam. Anupam's son is Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami is serving his uncles very nicely in Vrindavan. Although he is the greatest scholar himself, he would do humble menial service. So one day, one very arrogant scholar came to Vrindavan and he was carrying Vijaya Patra. He was a champion debater. He would debate and defeat all scholars and take their signature that I have been defeated. And that was his pride. So he came to Rupa Goswami and said, you are the greatest scholar I have heard. I want to debate with you. Let us have a debate. And if you are defeated, you should sign this certificate saying that you have been defeated by this Digvijay Pandit. So Rupa Goswami was a devotee of Krishna. He said, why waste time in debate? He said, किधर sign करने का दिखाओ? Sign आप जीत गए, चलो आप जीत गए, चलो खुश रहो. So he became very happy. Now he is going to go all over the world and show that see Rupa Goswami has also accepted defeat. So he became very happy. He signed Rupa Goswami signed and he took it and he was very happy. Then he realized, अरे इनका तो साइन ले लिया, बट इनका जो डिसाइपल है जीव गोस्वामी वो तो बहुत फेमस है, तो उसका भी साइन लगेगा. अदरवाइज पीपल विल से अरे रूप गोस्वामी जो डिवोटी है वो तो ऐसे दे दिया, या तुमने फॉर्ज किया रहेगा. जीव गोस्वामी को हरा है क्या तुम, तो अभी उसको कैसे. they went to यमुना के तट पे जीव गोस्वामी was doing his studies. So he said, you know, I have defeated your uncles. So Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami are very humble. So they just signed. And Jiva Goswami, now disciple's duty is to defend the honor of his guru. So he said, you are so arrogant. My guru, my Rupa Goswami, my uncle, they are very humble and they're very amazing devotees. It is out of their humility that they said they didn't want to debate with you. And you are so arrogant that you think you defeated them. First you have to defeat their disciple. First to defeat me. Then you go to them. So he was ready. And Jiva Goswami was so powerful speaker, powerful shastric knowledge he had. So they started the debate. And Jiva Goswami completely smashed him. And even psychologically smashed him by, they have to go to the Yamuna to do Gayatri Japa at one particular time of the day, morning, afternoon, and sunset time. But Jiva Goswami did not do Gayatri. So this Vallabh, this Digvijay Pandit was thinking, why he is not doing Gayatri? Then he came back and said, why you didn't come and do Gayatri Japa? He said, I don't need to do. But why? He said, because Gayatri, who does Gayatri Japa? When do we do Gayatri? When the sun is setting, or the Sandhya time. But the sun of Krishna Bhakti never sets in my heart. So this kind of very powerful answer he gave. And secondly, in Vedic culture, we don't perform puja and temple worship and rituals when there is sutak or there is birth. When somebody dies or somebody takes birth, we don't do. And material desires have died in my heart and Krishna Prema has taken birth in my heart. So I'm not qualified to do Gayatri Japa. So when this scholar heard, अरे बाप रे ये तो ऐसा answer दे रहा है, अभी तो debate शुरू भी नहीं हुआ है, and he has so much knowledge. So he wasn't psychologically, it was like he was smashed. And then the debate started, and he couldn't answer anything. And then he became so humbled. He went to Rupa Goswami. He begged forgiveness from Jiva Goswami. He went to Rupa Goswami and said, I'm really sorry. I made an offense to you. You're such a great scholar. Your disciple is so good, then how great you must be. So I'm a fool. I'm sorry. And he left. But Rupa Goswami called Jiva Goswami and said, how dare you waste your time debating with the person? That means you are not qualified to be in Vrindavan. Get out of Vrindavan. And Jiva Goswami did not say, अरे मैं तो आपका honor defend कर रहा था. Jiva Goswami was right in what he did. But look at the mood of culture of respect, that he did not defend his ego. He accepted and internally thought, yes, I am proud and I am not qualified to be in Vrindavan. And he left Vrindavan and he stayed at Pavan Sarovar, not Vrindavan. He did not leave Vrindavan. He was staying at Nandagaon, where he was staying in a crocodile hole and doing bhajan. Quietly as atonement for having displeased his guru. Although Srila Prabhupada emphatically writes that what he did was perfect. But then after many, many days, Sanatana Goswami, the older brother, went to Rupa Goswami and said, Rupa, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us 3 instructions. Are you sure you are following them? He said, what instructions? So Sanatana Goswami said, what are Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions? He said, Namaruchi, chanting of holy name. Namaruchi, Vaishnava Seva and Jeev Daya. Vaishnava Seva, service to Vaishnavas. And Jeev Daya means compassion to living entities. Sanatana Goswami said, what is the third one? He said, Jiva Daya. And then Rupa Goswami understood what he said. Jiva Daya means compassion to Jiva. Jiva here means living entities. Jiva also means Jiva Goswami. But then he realized that he was not compassionate to Jiva. But then he ran to Pavan Sarovar. He picked up Jiva Goswami, nursed him back to health, brought him back, took care of him. And then they lovingly stayed in Radha Damodar temple. This is another amazing pastime in our tradition, where it is shown to us, taught to us how not to become proud. A devotee in Krishna consciousness, whatever good you learn, or whatever good, sometimes you will get realization. If you study Bhagavatam, suddenly you will get epiphanies. You will understand something deeper. Or when you are speaking also, or when you are studying also, anything good we speak or hear, we should know it is coming from Guru and Krishna. We are not, see, sometimes we give logical explanations, we give 5 points, we give acronyms. Sometimes our logical and excellent presentations could be coming from my intelligence, my space. But we should know that I am not smart. I am getting all this as blessings, because of blessings of the Lord. In that mood, if we are there, and sometimes we get excited in giving analysis and analogies, that we may give very good analogy. It may make sense also to the audience, but it may not be what the scriptures are saying. Are you getting what I'm saying? Sometimes it may not be the main message of the scriptures. It may be very fantastic. Pandavas, 5 brothers. 5 Pandavas means 5 senses. Kurukshetra means heart. It's all very exciting to hear, but it may not be what the scriptures are saying. So we have to be careful not to get carried away by our brainy intellectual presentations, entertainment, and think that we are better than scriptures. This is very, very important. Our logic should not replace the Shastra's logic. Like I'll give 2 examples. One example is, now this Narsimha Chaturdashi is going to come. After a few days, we are going to celebrate Lord Narsimha's appearance. So when Lord Narsimhadev appeared, all devtas were afraid of him. He was very angry. Oh, he was roaring. So Lakshmi ji could not go in front. Brahma ji kaapne lage. Lord Shiva could not go. So Brahma ji ne bola, hey Prahlad, tumhare jaise sab hua hai. So you go and pacify Lord. And Prahlad came. Lord Narsimhadev was completely pacified. Prahlad ne garland dala. Then just like a lion licks the cub, Lord Narsimhadev picked up Prahlad and licked him and kept him on his lap. Now this pastime we speak, it is there in the Bhagavatam. So if I speak this pastime, now I can give a twist here. I can say, this pastime proves that Prahlad is better than all the demigods. Logically, I can prove that. Because here you see, nobody could please the Lord. He pleased the Lord. But this is not Shastra Yukti. This is logical. This is excellent analysis. But this is not what Bhagavatam is not trying to say that Prahlad is better than all of them. There is a mellow here. There is a rasa here. There is a sweetness here. That what they could not do, Prahlad did. So in this context, Prahlad has pleased the Lord. But this is not, Bhagavatam is not trying to say that Prahlad is better than them. If I say that, this passage is not comparing Prahlad with Devtas. But if I take this opportunity to compare and give an analysis, that means I am using my intelligence to supersede the scriptures. ये बहुत बार होता है. When we are very good speakers or when we get excited, we get carried away and we give our own. मुझे कुछ अच्छा realization आ गया. आप you can't deviate. Like that's very, very interesting pastime in 5th canto. Bharat Maharaj is doing. He gets attached to a deer. And Bhagavatam says he was in the stage of bhava. Bhava is the preliminary stage of love of Krishna. Oh, bhava is Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana, Kriya, Anartha, Nivedi. Stages hai bhakti ka. So prem is the highest. Prem ke niche bhava hai. तो शास्त्र में क्लियरली लिखा है कि भाव स्टेज में किसी का फॉल डाउन नहीं होता. Now this person was at the stage of bhava, but he got distracted by a deer, and then that's a long story. Then eventually fell down. So this pastime tells us the dangers of not being careful in bhakti and how we should be always alert. Okay? And Rupa Goswami has clearly said, "Jo bhava mein fall down nahi hota." Now you cannot take this pastime and say that this pastime proves that even if you're in the stage of bhava, you fall down. You can fall down. No, because according to scriptures, you cannot fall down at the stage of bhava. Then you say, but this fellow fell down. Yes, this pastime is telling us how we have to be careful. That is the message. Don't interpolate and don't start, see, sometimes logic का हम लोग इतना misuse करते हैं. We should know when to use logic and when to not use logic. उसके लिए भी common sense लगता है. Logic is such a dangerous thing, You give any argument, I can tear it to pieces and throw it out of the door. And I can give any argument by logic, you can tear it and throw it out of the window. Logic doesn't make sense, Like you can't say, a judge tells a criminal that confess you have committed the crime. There are 10 people who have seen you committing the crime. So the criminal will say, so if the judge says, I can produce 10 people who have seen you commit the crime, the criminal cannot say, I'll produce 100 people who have not seen me commit the crime. You can't simply use logic. You have to have reasonable logic. You have to have reasonable understanding. So here also scriptures, you can't just make it into a logical exercise. So therefore, there has to be guidelines. There has to be attitude of culture, the culture of respect. In that mood, a mood of surrender. ठीक है, अभी जो भी आ रहा है, मैं सुनूंगा और मेरे heart को purify करूंगा. At the same time, intelligently preach. Like Srila Prabhupada went to one school, all children were sitting. Now, how do you present Bhagavatam to children? All 7-year-old, 5-year-old. अब उनको कैसे बताने का? We are not the body, we are the soul. So Prabhupada asked the children. So yeah, he called one boy in the front. He said, "What is this?" Boy said, "Hand." Prabhupada said, "Whose hand?" The boy said, "My hand." "What is this?" "My head, my leg, my eyes." "And what is this?" "My body." But then Prabhupada said, "If this is your hand, your leg, if this is your body, then who are you?" Like that he was logically trying to explain to them. Means we have to be understanding the nature of the audience and accordingly present. But that doesn't mean we compromise. Like see, even Srila Prabhupada, when he went to America, before Prabhupada, Paramatma, jo heart mein Paramatma hai, in all the Gaudiya writings, Paramatma was called as overseer, supreme lord, permitter. But Srila Prabhupada came and gave the word super soul. क्योंकि उस समय सुपरमैन फेमस हो गया था. तो मैन है, सुपरमैन है, और हम लोग सब सोल है, तो सुपर सोल. That was genius. Are you getting? Like that time in America, hippies, for them, consciousness was a very popular word. Amongst hippies who are into spiritual life, they like to use the word, they used to use words like, that time the common word was cosmic consciousness. Altering the state of consciousness. We are trying to alter the state of consciousness. Or they would talk about, we are into spirituality because we are talking about consciousness expansion. ये पूरा अमेरिका उस समय कल्चर था कि consciousness expansion, altering the state of consciousness, cosmic consciousness. So Prabhupada goes around and says, "I'll give you Krishna consciousness." They said, "Cool, man, this is cool." Somebody is giving us, because they like the word consciousness. So Prabhupada knew, see, Prabhupada was a transcendental opportunist. How to present Krishna consciousness in a way that the audience can understand. Like those hippies were into drugs. And one of the famous drugs that time was LSD. So LSD लेते थे वो लोग to get a kick, ऐसा नशा आने के लिए. तो एक बार क्लास में हिप्पी ने पूछा, "Swami ji, you are talking about spiritual world and Golok Vrindavan, going back to Vaikuntha, Krishna Loka. How is Krishna Loka actually?" So Prabhupada said, "Krishna Loka is like an ocean of LSD." वाह, सबको अच्छा लगा. उनका intellectual ability वही था. So this is the way we have to be making it. We have to help people understand. Otherwise, simply knowing scriptures is not sufficient. See, we have to be loyal to the parampara. We have to have a culture of respect, and we have to be intelligent also. Otherwise, Ajamil, he knew the scriptures very well, but when he saw a low-class man embrace a prostitute in the middle of the forest, he got bewildered and he forgot all the shlokas he had read. And nowadays, what Ajamil saw in the forest, we have it on the phone. Unless you have parental app or protection, like which most of our devotees have, they have all these parental apps and to other devotees, other parents. But otherwise, this is a very dangerous device. And there are some organizations, they teach how to overcome stress. They say, okay, if you have stress, chant this verse from Gita. Asho chanan vasochastvam pratyabadam shagas. So chant this verse 2,000 times. And if you have a problem of bad health, then there is another verse. Yuktahara viharasya. वो सब श्लोक है. वो chant this verse 4,000 times. अरे इससे थोड़ी आपका हेल्थ सुधरेगा. ये ritualistic हो गया. Actually, we have to enter that space of that shloka. We have to allow the sound to purify us. We have to reflect on the words. We have to allow the light of that verse to shine in us. So therefore, this is needed. See, pure devotees always remember Krishna. Materialistic people always forget Krishna. We sometimes remember Krishna. Most of the time we forget Krishna. Therefore, we need blessings. And blessings come when we respect others. Therefore, with this culture of respect, then we have faith, then our realization grows, and then we come closer to Krishna. So this is the mood of the first shloka of this chapter. And next week onwards, we will continue with the second, third, fourth verse. And then we will see what are the interesting questions that Shaunaka Rishi is going to ask. And following which, basically, he's going to ask questions on 3 types. He's going to ask questions on who is the speaker of Bhagavatam? Rupa Goswami के बारे में कुछ बताओ. Then second question is going to ask, अच्छा भागवतम व्यासदेव ने लिखा कैसे? वो बताओ. And third is going to ask, अच्छा सुना किसने पहली बार? Parishit Maharaj. Tell us something about Parishit Maharaj. So remaining of first canto is how Bhagavatam was spoken, history of Sukadeva Goswami and history of Parikshit Maharaj. So that we will discuss from next week on. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Thank you. Any comments? Any questions? Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. We'll stop here. Srila
Thank you,
Prabhupada
Prabhuji.
ki jai. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Take care, Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Krishna.